Let's bring in Mukesh Kapila, who is the Emeritus Professor of Humanitarian Affairs at Manchester University and joins us now live from Geneva. Professor, can you give us some indication of how, when the whole world seems to agree on one thing in this situation, it can't agree on a ceasefire, it can agree on settler violence and a condemnation of that, we are still witnessing it going ahead to the level that this UN report reveals?
Well, I've read hundreds of UN Human Rights Office reports in my career, but reading this last one, it's possibly the most shocking one I have read for many, many months. It describes a pattern of egregious abuse of dignity of people living in the West Bank. It describes a systematic approach to insulting the people of the West Bank in terms of arbitrary detentions and other abuses and the conditions of detention and such like. So in that sense, I think even by the standards of previous abuses, what's been going on in recent weeks, perhaps under the shadow of Gaza, is accelerated the indignities that have been visited upon the West Bank. And I think there lies the problems of the near future that are going to explode even more.
The Israeli establishment, we know, Professor, has previously been very clear, particularly some of the harder rights members, including Itamar Ben-Gvir, about the ultimate goal of the West Bank being to occupy it fully. Do you believe that this UN report is a testimony to that now being carried out? Is there any concern, do you think, that this end goal, as we heard Mustafa Barghouti, the General Secretary of the Palestinian National Initiative earlier, say is the attempt by Israel to reoccupy the territory completely?
I think the quantitative and qualitative information presented in this report and similar reports is quite compelling. And it's not just about the numbers of settlers, both established and new settlers, but also the systematic way in which they're infiltrating the West Bank and the nature of the infrastructure that has been created by Israel to sustain the settled population. So putting all that together seems to be that whether or not it is an official Israel state policy, the de facto impact is that there is a creeping annexation of the West Bank, and this is supplemented by making the life of Palestinians in the West Bank completely insufferable, and thereby actually completing the occupation both by direct measures and indirect measures.
Certainly troubling scenes, aren't they, and difficult to watch, as that report from the UN was difficult to read. Professor, many thanks. That's Professor Mukesh Kapila, Emeritus Professor of Humanitarian Affairs at Manchester University.